Hello and welcome to FinextraTV. You join us here at Money 2020 in Amsterdam, and I am delighted to be joined by Scarlett Sieber of Money 2020. Thank you so much for giving up your time to speak with us, Scarlett.
Thank you for giving up your time to speak with me, Alex.
Absolute pleasure. Can I say you put on a fantastic event? You must be so proud. You really must.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I am a very harsh critic, so I can always think about improvements, but I will say that we are quite proud of what we've done, and especially the thing that I've been the most inspired by is all of these incredible stands and partners of people who have really gone above and beyond to put great effort into their spaces.
That leads me on beautifully to my first question. What are the kind of key emerging trends that you've noticed at this year's event typically?
So it's interesting. I would say the key one for last year in Money 2020 Europe was open banking. And I talked a lot. One of the things that makes us quite different is our content team are experts in fintech, ex-operators, journalists, VCs, you name it. And when they started talking to me about the agenda for last year, they kept bringing up open banking. And I said, come on, Europe is so advanced with open banking. Do we really need to keep having this conversation? They were adamant, and they were right. And it was the most popular session. So year later, open banking is still very relevant. So we've had a lot of big players here, and Europe is really leading with that. If you look at our other geographies, Europe is most advanced. I cannot talk about trends without talking about AI, and I hate to say that in a way because everyone is talking about AI, but we wouldn't. One of the things about Money 2020 is we are a reflection of what is happening in the industry, and so AI is certainly prevalent. And when we looked across the agenda, we had roughly 20% of the content that had an AI component to it, and we've definitely seen that. And what's so interesting is when we started saying we're going to cover this, we wanted to make sure that we covered it from the multiple angles and multiple perspectives. So there is the theory, talking about what we think is happening, but we really want to get into the practicality of AI. So you had the big banks, you had ING and Deutsche, you had Marnix from ING who was talking about how ING is already using LLMs in their call center. So they've already been doing a lot there. They were quite skeptical and a bit disillusioned by the big tech and said, actually, this is where banking can come. Whereas Deutsche Bank, their new CIO, Joanne, came on and she was talking about the fact that the way that we move forward with things like AI with big banks is by bringing in the tech companies along. So we went into real use cases. It's not just a nice thing to talk about. We then had all the big tech companies. So you had Minstrel AI, Arthur, the CEO, speaking yesterday. So that was a really big win, especially for Europe, because there's been a lot that's been going on with the big tech companies there, and then Mistral has come and really taken over. We had NVIDIA, we had Microsoft, and not surprisingly, these were the sessions that were actually the most requested. We have in our app, you can favorite sessions, and those were really high. So fraud and KYC is probably some of the key components for that for our world, and how that's going to actually impact there. And then we did even a bit with marketing automation with AI as well.
So you've mentioned some of the key themes there, typically AI. How does that compare to last year then, if you were to do a comparison?
AI it's still in its infancy, to be clear. From my perspective, I would say we were talking about it, but it was definitely theory, whereas this year we're moving it more into practicality. Financial services is one of the most highly regulated industries next to healthcare. These things take time, especially at scale, so we still have a long way to go. But since then, a year is not insignificant in terms of a time frame, and so there has been a lot of advancements that we've seen.
It's amazing to just think how quickly things have moved over the last 12 months, like you say. So million-dollar question, but what's next for Money 2020 Europe? What can we look forward to in the future?
I think it's building off of what we've already done here. So one of the things that we continue to do is evolve what is working and make better evolutions of it. So if you go down to the bottom of the floor plan, you see our nature stage. Ironically enough, there is AI in the name. That was very intentional. But that stage has all real plantings there, and they're sustainably sourced. We're going to be replanting them actually after the show. That seemed to be a really nice success because it is this combination of human and machine, which is our theme for Money 2020 in 2024 in general. Globally, to your question on what's next, an evolution of that. So our theme will be in line with that, but a little bit more evolved. One of the things that we've seen, obviously sitting here talking about TV, is how much our platform acts as a catalyst for big announcements and big news. Yeah. We had that press lunch here yesterday, startup lunch here today. We're continuing to see that, and we're actually going to evolve and have a stage dedicated to that. So we did that in Vegas last year as a test. each time, depending on what we're doing, we switch geographies on different tests, but we're going to come to Money 2020 Europe in 2025 with a stage around the briefing room, and we're going to have a lot of really great things there and really double down on the announcements happening at the show.
Sounds really exciting, a lot of exciting things to look forward to. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for giving up your time. I know you've been very busy at this event to talk to us today. We do appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you so much, Scarlett.